This pickup truck is going to shock the industry. I mean that literally. It's brand new. Ford is partly behind it. I've also got some information brand new on the F-150 EV and some information on the F-150 Raptor. And finally, Honda is about to drop the new HR-V, and I got some spy information on that. There's a lot in today's show. You don't want to miss it. Stick around. This is the Rivian. This is a brand new electric vehicle. This is an American vehicle built in America, and they have just received another round of funding. So Rivian is a company backed both by Ford and Amazon, and they've just received another round of funding. And they're actually looking at going public perhaps as early as this year. This is very significant. This is the most significant electric vehicle manufacturing debut, I think, since Tesla. I think this is probably going to be the most important electric vehicle manufacturer aside from Tesla. They just received a $2.65 billion investment round from T. Rowe Price. That's obviously a large investment fund. This also included an investment from Fidelity Management and Research Company and Amazon's Climate Pledge Fund. And that's not all. They took a $2.5 billion investment round last year. And just before that, they took a $1.3 billion investment round as well. In 2019, Ford invested a $500 million into Rivian. And so these guys haven't just been sitting on their laurels. They're actually moving very close to production right now. So Rivian has actually raised more than $8 billion from investment, and they actually have 2 vehicles coming down the pipeline, and one is already on the streets here in Los Angeles. You're not going to believe this, but the 2 production vehicles that we're going to get as consumers, there's 2 of them. One is called the Rivian R1T, that's for truck, and the other one is the Rivian R1S for SUV. And we're going to take a look at these. We can actually go and configure these right now too. But what's really interesting is that Ford has got a big investment in this, and we're going to talk about how Ford relates to this in a second. Let's take a quick look at Car and Driver, who summed this up really well. So these trucks are very traditional, not quite in the way they look. The headlights are definitely quite interesting looking, but in terms of the layout and configuration and also their off-road capability. Now these trucks are insanely fast, insanely powerful, and they have really good range as well. So we're talking about quad motors here. There's going to be a motor at each wheel, so it's going to be able to independently vector and apply power exactly where you want it. And how much power? The top model, we're talking about 750 horsepower, and we're talking about 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. It has an adjustable air suspension that is standard, and like I said, all-wheel drive. So here we are over at the Rivian website, and the initial truck that's coming out is going to deliver 300 miles of range. And then in January 2022, so about 11 months from now, a 400-mile version of the R1T will be available. And then after that, they're going to launch a lower mileage version, which has 250 miles of range. So quite a bit of range. But in terms of performance, they're saying you can drive through 3 feet of water, rock crawl at 100% grade. I'm not quite sure how that happens. And a 0 to 60 time of 3 seconds, depending on the selection of vehicle that you're getting. And very significantly, towing capacity up to 11,000 pounds. That is quite a bit. Rivian is actually not a new company. They were actually founded back in 2009 by a gentleman by the name of Robert R.J. Scaringe, and he's from MIT. He's got a degree from there. And currently they have about 3,600 employees. So Rivian is definitely not a little brand new startup. They're not like some of the Chinese manufacturers. These guys have actually been doing this for quite a while. So Rivian is going to be building these vehicles in the USA. In fact, it's going to be in Normal, Illinois, in the former Mitsubishi plant. And they acquired this for $16 million. And so they're actually getting this ramped up for production right now. In 2020, the truck competed in the Rebel Rally, which is a complete off-road race, I guess, excursion, sort of a navigation race through parts of Mexico. And they also drove the truck from, I guess, South America, Patagonia, to Los Angeles as well. So they've been out testing the truck basically in off-road environments. And that's really what they've been promoting lately, is the off-road capability of this truck. Part of the challenge for any electric vehicle is charging. I just had the RAV4 Prime, which is a plug-in hybrid, which means it goes about 42 miles on electric power alone, and I was just trying to charge it around Los Angeles. It was a little bit difficult to actually find charging for it, and it doesn't charge very fast. But when we're talking about a truck like the Rivian or the Ford F-150, we're going to talk about that in a second, you need to be able to charge it. And in my experience, the charging infrastructure is not very good right now. In fact, it's pretty bad. So Rivian says they are building out their own EV charging network, and what they're planning to do is actually install some chargers at places where people would go off-roading. So in addition to fast chargers along interstates, a strategy employed by Tesla and Electrify America, I'm a TechCrunch by the way, they are also adding a second layer to its electric vehicle charging game that is atypical of the industry. The company will set up dozens of EV chargers designed to power its electric vehicles while parked at adventurous destinations, from mountain bikes and hiking trails to kayaking spots and even near popular climbing crags. And so they're talking about deploying this, I guess, at scale. So let's quickly configure an R1T. This is actually quite a premium vehicle. So Rivian is going for a much more, I guess, upscale audience. And this is going to compete with things like the Tesla Cybertruck, and potentially the Ford F-150 EV we're going to talk about in just 1 second. And actually, I was quite impressed at the LA Auto Show when I saw this a couple years ago. This didn't seem like a typical prototype vehicle. This looked almost production. The fit and finish was very good of the panels. The interior looked really good. They had a huge display with the entire skateboard design of the truck with the batteries mounted underneath. It seems to be like a very solid construction. At least, I'm not an engineer, but at least in my opinion, it looked like something that was pretty close to production. So that was a bit of a surprise compared to some of the other EV manufacturers you've seen bringing out their vehicles. So the Adventure package, there's 2 packages you can get, starts at $75,000. This is the maximum towing capability, or the maximum capability, and it's got this premium interior. So let's pick that. Let's go with the large battery pack for an extra $10,000 for 400 miles. And then we've got a few colors. LA Silver, I think this is pretty boring. Glacier White, I'm not so into that. We've got red. I really like this Rivian Blue personally quite a bit. And their signature color is Forest Green. But I'm going to go with Compass Yellow because, hey, after all, that's my branding. So you can add this camp kitchen with the magic of outdoor cooking with all the essentials from home. Our camp kitchen helps you prepare complete meals wherever you are. So it has an induction cooktop, a built-in sink, a 4-gallon water tank and pump, and an optional 30-piece prep and cookware set from Snow Peak. Let's just throw that in for $5,000. So we've got a projected 400-mile range. We're up to $92,000 right now. Let's check out the interior options as well. We've got Black Mountain, which is free. We have Ocean Coast, which is kind of interesting looking. It looks like it's got some wood on the dash. And then we have Forest Edge for another $2,000, so we're up to $94,500. Obviously, this is like pretty pimped out here. Due today $1,000. I think I'm going to skip on that for today. But let's see how inexpensively we can configure it. So $67,500. Let's go with the standard battery pack. Let's go with LA Silver or Glacier White, which is free. And we can throw in the off-road upgrade, which has maximum off-roading capability. Looks like it has basically a skid plate on here and bumper hooks and an air compressor for $2,000. Let's just throw that on. All right, so let's go with the base interior. And so now we're up to $69,500 with that $2,000 off-road kit. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of Rivian. Is this a truck you would actually order, considering they're going to have chargers at trailheads? Just let me know. I'm quite curious about this. There's a lot of interest in this truck. And actually, there's something else that Rivian has done which proves they're actually already in production. So Rivian has actually delivered trucks to Amazon. I've actually seen them out on the streets of Los Angeles. These are fully electric delivery trucks. And it looks like they have announced the purchase of 100,000 of these custom delivery trucks. I'm not sure how many are in Los Angeles right now, but they did just launch. Like I say, I've seen a couple of them, and this is part of Amazon's climate pledge, and they are pledging to achieve zero net carbon across their entire operation by 2040, so just 19 years away. Back in 2019, Ford made a $500 million investment into Rivian, and at that point they announced that they were going to do a joint vehicle together. Looked like it was going to be something from Lincoln. Maybe it was going to be the future Aviator EV. We're not quite sure, but that actually sort of fell by the wayside with COVID that happened in 2020. However, Ford says that we're still working on a product with Rivian and that relationship is going great. We will use their skateboard to build a Ford vehicle on, but not a Lincoln. So I wonder what that vehicle could be. Well, we know actually now that Ford has made another announcement. Ford announced just a couple days ago they were going to invest $29 billion to building EVs, and we know that that's going to happen in North America. This is going to be in the Oakville assembly plant, and this is part of the Unifor deal. So we know that they're going to be building, this is in Canada by the way, we know they're going to be building 5 separate vehicles there, but we don't quite know what they're going to be yet. So they're going to build 5 vehicles, 5 models of electric vehicles, and bring new products to the engine plant in Windsor. Today is a historic day. We're talking not only about solidifying the footprint of the auto industry in the short term, but for the long term. So we know we have the Mustang Mach-E, but we've got 5 vehicles coming. I don't think they've all been announced yet, so this is going to be some pretty exciting times at Ford as they ramp up their EV production. Let me know if you hear any rumors or anything from Ford. I definitely would like to speak with you. Hit me up on Instagram, or I'm also on Telegram. Next up, we're going to talk about the Honda HR-V and some leaked information that has just dropped. This is coming to us from Motor One. They say that these images are possibly directly from Honda. This was leaked on Facebook, I guess yesterday. We're going to have some sort of debut on February the 18th. Now these are not confirmed. Obviously Honda is not confirming anything, but it does appear that these are quite similar to the images and the spy photos that Motor One has obtained. You can see here on this is the actual spy photo of the vehicle. It looks to be quite Honda-like, a little bit conservative, but the new front, the nose is a little bit different than what we've been seeing from Honda so far. Here you can see this leaked image, so it looks pretty similar. I would say this is, probably pretty accurate. Honda had a teaser for the HR-V a couple days ago. This is what it looks like. It looks pretty sharp and sleek. It looks quite Japanese to me, so I'm kind of excited to see what this vehicle looks like and probably check it out and do a little drive of it. If you're interested, I did a full review of the Honda CR-V Hybrid. I'll just link it up in a card here too. Next, we're going to check out the sound of the new F150 Raptor V6 and talk about why it sounds so good. The F150 Raptor debuted just a couple days ago. We know it has the 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6. We don't know how much power it's going to make exactly yet, but I think it's a pretty safe assumption that it is going to be more than the outgoing version, which makes 450 horsepower. And Ford has put together a special new exhaust for this. We're going to listen to that in a second, but let's look at this exhaust system, see why the Raptor sounds so good. So this is an equal length active exhaust, and one thing they've done in here which is pretty unique is this mid-pipe trombone. So you can see here from the right hand bank of the engine, we've got this pipe that goes down and then it sort of loops around before it goes into the muffler section here. They're calling this a trombone. This creates an equal length exhaust. So that's how they're getting around the problem of the exhaust pipes not being equal. They've got a 3-inch exhaust pipe all the way through here. And then we have active valves that can open and close, allowing for different modes. We've got 3 different modes, which is normal, 4 actually, quiet, normal, sport, and Baja. Let's listen. Ford clearly spends a lot of time and development effort making their vehicles sound good. I think the 5-liter Coyote engine in the Mustang is probably one of the best sounding domestic engines out there, or even one of the best sounding engines around. I'm really a big fan of the Coyote. And this sounds really good too. This sounds a little more throaty, a little more characterful than the outgoing Raptor. And next up, we're going to talk about the Ford F-150 electric truck. This is from the Detroit Bureau. This is an automotive publication that focuses on what's going on in Detroit. And they say that Ford's all-electric F-150 truck is on track for a 2022 debut. So we finally have a date. This was just announced this morning. And so this is from the Ford's Chief Product Platform, Hao Tai Ting, Ford's Chief Product Platform and Operations guy. He said during a conference by JP Morgan that Ford's first battery electric pickup truck will be ready for market during the first quarter of 2022. It will be the F-150 BEV, the battery electric vehicle. So we know that Ford rolled out the hybrid F-150 in the fourth quarter of last year, and so now they are bringing this truck available to market. I expect you're going to be able to pre-order it probably a little bit later this year. And we know that they are doing this because there is a lot of competition right now, and actually this is good for Ford, it's good for GM, it's good for the industry, because innovation is good for profits. Innovation breeds jobs, it creates new technologies, and it basically helps push the industry forward. We're obviously in a big shift right now, a quantum shift, probably the biggest shift in the automotive industry since in a generation, essentially. So the industry is shifting over to electric vehicles. And look, this is not just happening in the US, this is happening globally. I know there's a lot of comments on my videos about the current administration and how they're pushing this forward, which is true. But this trend has been going on for a long time, and it's picking up speed in all the different countries around the planet right now as we slowly move over to battery-powered vehicles. I don't think that conventional ICE-powered vehicles are going to be unavailable. They're going to be probably difficult to get. They're going to be more expensive. They're going to be for enthusiasts. I think most mainstream vehicles are probably going to be battery electric vehicles by 15, 20 years from now. This is happening in the UK, it's happening in Germany, and it is happening here now. And one thing I can say about battery electric technology is, unlike the fuel crisis in the 70s, when companies had to start installing catalytic converters, and they went from the muscle car era and went to like really crappy slow vehicles that everybody hated, battery powered vehicles, electric vehicles, are pretty fun, at least, and they're pretty fast. So the charging infrastructure right now sucks, obviously, across the entire industry other than Tesla, but battery electric vehicles they're actually kind of fun to drive. Ford is saying that the F-150, the EV, is going to be the most powerful F-150 ever. It's going to have the most torque of any F-150 ever and be the most capable F-150 ever. In this vehicle here, they're showing the capability, and they're showing the F-150 towing 10 double-decker rail cars, which weigh more than 1 million pounds. So this is pretty cool. This is pretty exciting. I know there's a lot of people who say it's stupid that we're ruining the environment with these electric trucks and electric vehicles, but I think choice is a good thing, and people are complaining about having more choice. That doesn't make sense to me. I just gave the RAV4 Prime back to Toyota yesterday. Pretty great vehicle. I was actually very surprised by it. Working on a review of that now. I hope to have that up in the next couple days. It might be early next week. I've got some track time I'm doing this weekend. I'm modifying my Supra. My name is Eric. I will see you in the next video. And please subscribe if you haven't. It really helps support the channel.